St. Albert the Great, who lived in the 1200s, born a little bit before 1200, contemporary of St. Thomas Aquinas, with one of the great theologians of the Church. We call him St. Albert the Great. He was an intellectual who knew almost all the subjects of knowledge in his day, and he was an expert in all of them, and used to teach them all, and actually wrote a kind of an encyclopedia of all the bodies of knowledge of that time, in philosophy especially, ethics and logic and rhetoric and metaphysics and politics and all those kinds of things, and natural sciences. He wrote about it as well, geology and astronomy. He was a spiritual writer as well, writing on friendship and love, and so he was a very great teacher of his day. It took him 20 years to write that book of sort of encyclopedia of knowledge of that day, and tried to cover every body of knowledge. And he was kind of known as a magician or a wizard of his day because of his study of science, which was well before the age of science of today. And he would study plants and insects and chemistry, and had his own laboratory. And but he studied also natural knowledge. He studied Aristotle and wrote a commentary on almost all of Aristotle's writings, which was kind of unique in his day because Aristotle was not a religious writer, and many theologians of his day stayed far away from non-religious writers, secular intellectuals. They stayed away from that. But he wasn't afraid to learn about the truth from anyone, including a secular writer like Aristotle, and he sort of passed that on to St. Thomas Aquinas, who continued his delving into the truths Aristotle wrote about and the natural knowledge. And we have that in philosophy today, which the Church studies, natural knowledge and philosophy, which would lead us into supernatural knowledge and theology. And certainly St. Albert was a theologian as well. And he, when he was younger, he had some encounter with Our Lady, and it was inspired from that to enter the Dominican order, and became a theologian with the Dominicans. He established a seminary in Cologne in southern Germany with the Dominicans, and with St. Thomas, they produced a curriculum and form of study for the Dominican order seminary there in Cologne, and also that curriculum was used to establish a seminary in Rome. The University of St. Thomas Aquinas was later called, which is now called the Angelicum in Rome, still staffed by the Dominicans. So he died in 1280, so an old man, outlived St. Thomas Aquinas, who died in 2075. And he had continued to advance the teachings of St. Thomas for the remaining years of his life. So maybe we can take from St. Albert this importance of study, importance of learning, which is very important in the Church, not just devotion, but also learning. St. Teresa of Avila used to always encourage her sisters to go to the most learned priests for guidance. So learning is very important, but as St. Francis says, without losing the spirit of prayer and devotion, which has to go hand in hand with learning. Otherwise, we give into pride and lose our vocation, really, to love God above all things. So as we learn about anything, we also always want to learn, immersed in God, like St. Thomas was, St. Bonaventure were. They learned before the crucifix, before the tabernacle, and they always advanced in love of God as they advanced in learning, and hand in hand with humility, which is grace from God, which you get in prayer.
Fructum ventris tuum